No, I love the new women. I know the new women. They're great, aren't they? You know, the new ones we've been seeing lately. The ones with beards, and they're as good as gold. I love them.
Well, with me, ever since I've been hit with the cancel culture a bunch of times, I think twice, but I do it anyway.
In his signature style, the comedian delves into the absurdities of the modern world, particularly the new women he's been seeing, those with beards, who he claims are as good as gold.
Getting offended is something privileged people do. And we just got privileged last week. It's very exciting. Now in the West, you've had privilege for years. You've taken offense to another level. Like Americans can get offended on other people's behalf. It's a very American thing. I'm offended for you. What you went through is so stressful. I'm going to take the day off.
The comedian's own battles with cancel culture come into play here, as he mentions how he's been called out multiple times but continues to push boundaries, all while noting how society's response to offense has changed over time. He then segues into a broader critique of privilege and performative activism, taking a bold stand without apology. According to him, being offended is a luxury reserved for privileged people, and this is especially evident in the West, where some people take offense on behalf of others who might not have even been offended in the first place.
In the West, you're very, what's the word? Woke. That's a word I learned, woke. That's the reason I travel, to learn new words. It's not to expand my audience. I'm Indian. My audience is expanding as we speak right now. I asked a college kid, I'm like, what does it mean to be woke? She was like, to be woke means to realize, to recognize, to organize, and then to vocalize. That describes everything from a book club to a Nazi rally, all right? I want to be one of these comedians who can write woke jokes for woke people. I've tried. Do you want to hear them, yeah? Knock, knock. Well, if you need to hear the sound of somebody's voice before you let them into your apartment, what does that say about your elitist privilege, huh?
He then segues into a broader critique of privilege and performative activism, taking a bold stand without apology. According to him, being offended is a luxury reserved for privileged people, and this is especially evident in the West, where some people take offense on behalf of others who might not have even been offended in the first place. The comedian, embracing his role as an outsider, discusses how the word woke became part of his lexicon during his travels, not for expanding his audience, but for understanding the culture.
It's very important. It's good. What's that?
Said you need to stop picking on people. Start doing real jokes.
I'm just going to repeat what he said, and I'm not lying. He said you need to stop picking on people and start telling real jokes.
What?
Now.
Why are you applauding yourself?
My brother. Okay, look. I'm a person, you're a person. I'm talking about real majoring in math. Did that. Palestinian Jewish roommate. Did that. Family from Beirut did that. This is all real, brother. This is all real. This is my life. This is my life. You don't like talking about race? Or you don't like talking about race? Is that your thing?
It's the cheap way out.
It's the cheap way out, man. Well, you know what? Race is a reality to me, man. And it's a reality to most people. And I'm making light of it. I'm making light of it, brother.
His interaction with a college student who describes wokeness as a process of recognizing, organizing, and vocalizing reflects the comedian's amusement at how such a loaded term can encapsulate so many different meanings. Then he shifts to a self-deprecating but clever attempt at writing woke jokes for woke people. With a knock-knock joke designed to challenge someone's elitism, he highlights the absurdity in how privilege can shape even the smallest actions, like the idea that one's right to speak before entering a space could be an issue of elitism.
Why would the majority of the crowd be booing you? If it's... Did I have a turban? No, I do not have a turban. However, I will say, okay, look, you had a turban growing up, I didn't. Is that what you're saying? I get mistaken for being Indian all the time. And it annoys me too because there's a difference, bro. People are like, you're Indian. I'm not Indian. You can't just pick any brown person and call us Indian. You're not Columbus. That one's for you. That one's for you.
Ah! Dead!
There's nothing wrong with being Indian. All right. If I get out.
No,
Can I do one?
no,
Can I do one more?
I'm not stopping you. I'm stopping you. You were handled. Let him finish his set. Thank you. But that was a master work.
In both of these segments, there's an ongoing thread about the absurdity of modern social dynamics, whether it's the excesses of woke culture or the failure of an audience member to respect the boundaries of a performance. The comedian's sharp takes on these issues serve as a reminder that humor, at its best, isn't just about making people laugh. It's about holding up a mirror to society and forcing everyone to confront the contradictions and ridiculousness we sometimes overlook.
Won't pick on anyone. I won't do any more racial jokes, okay? I'm just saying my best friend is Indian, so it's an arranged friendship, and we're very close. And I was born here in Oakland, and I was raised in Fremont. Fremont, it's a lot like Oakland, less urban, more turban, if you know what I mean. And that's, thank you so much. My name is Samuel Bate. This is real. Thank you so much.
The comedian starts off by diving straight into a conversation about race, sharing his personal experiences with a diverse range of people. He points out how race is a real and undeniable part of his life and the lives of many others, challenging the audience to confront this reality. He takes a jab at people who avoid discussing race, calling it the cheap way out, and turns the focus back on how race is an unavoidable aspect of daily life.
Oh, women. Not all women. I mean the old-fashioned ones. You know, the old-fashioned women. Oh, God. You know, the ones with wombs. Oh. Those dinosaurs. No, I love the new women. I know the new women. They're great, aren't they? You know, the new ones we've been seeing lately. The ones with beards and they're as good as... They're as good as gold. I love that.
The comedian takes it further by humorously addressing how people often simplify complex racial identities. He gets laughs by mocking how others lump him into a category he doesn't belong to, especially when he's mistaken for being Indian. He calls out this stereotype with a funny remark, "You're not Columbus," poking fun at the idea that anyone of color can be mistaken for another, as if their cultural backgrounds are interchangeable.
It's the old-fashioned, and now the old-fashioned, they go like, oh, they want to use our toilets. Why shouldn't they use your toilets? For ladies. They are ladies. Look at their pronouns. What about this person isn't a lady? Well, his... Her... you bigot. What if he... me? What if she too? You turf.
When a heckler tries to interrupt, the comedian handles it effortlessly, pointing out how embarrassing it is for anyone to try to dictate what's funny at a live show. His ability to shut down the disruption with ease keeps the audience engaged and reinforces his control over the situation. As he continues, he lightens the mood by joking about his arranged friendship with his best Indian friend, poking fun at yet another stereotype.
And I'm curious to know how you feel like comedy is going to weather this epoch. Are we going to have comedians who walk on eggshells? Are comedians going to fear the woke mob? Will they be less funny? Will they be less edgy? Or will they look at this as an opportunity to make even more headlines?
Well, with me, ever since I've been hit with the cancel culture a bunch of times, I think twice, but I do it anyway.
His blunt delivery underscores how these conversations are still far from simple or universally accepted, with many struggling to keep up with changing norms. His take on gender pronouns might make some cringe, but it forces the audience to think about the way gender is understood in a society that is increasingly questioning its traditional definitions. His humor isn't just edgy, it's a direct commentary on the awkwardness of navigating the ever-changing landscape of gender identity. The way he calls out the absurdity of the discourse surrounding pronouns, especially when discussing who gets access to spaces like bathrooms, is both funny and thought-provoking.
And it's very strange how there are certain words. It always made me laugh when people say, use terms like the F word, the N word, the C word. And I'm thinking, well, when you say those terms, the person hearing it is saying it aloud in their head. So who's it being hidden from?
By framing it in such an extreme way, comparing those who demand to use different toilets to ladies based on their pronouns, he exposes the contradictions and frustrations that come with the new rigid rules about gender. His punchlines hit hard, emphasizing how confusing and inconsistent the conversation can be. The absurdity of these discussions is laid bare, making it clear that humor is one of the few tools left to critique the growing intensity of political correctness in modern society.
I want to see if you can guess who it is I'm doing an impression of. All right, let me get into character. You gotta guess who it is, though. Okay, here it goes. Hey, if you do anything wrong in your life, and I find out about it, I'm gonna try to take everything away from you. And I don't care when I find out. Could be today, tomorrow, 15, 20 years from now. If I find out, you're finished. Who's that? That's you. That's what the audience sounds like to me. That's why I don't be coming out doing comedy all the time, because y'all niggas is the worst I've ever tried to entertain in my f***ing life.
The comedian doesn't just skirt around sensitive topics, he dives headfirst into them, using humor to dismantle the artificial constraints placed on speech. When discussing how people obsess over words like the F word or the N word, he points out the inherent contradiction in this obsession. It's laughable to censor words verbally, but allow them to live on in the minds of listeners. His critique is clever. Why hide the words if they're already mentally understood by the listener? This absurdity is the heart of his point. Cancel culture isn't solving anything, it's just pretending to.
And that's my therapist, Helen. I've been with Helen for about 4 years. And we get into arguments. Like, I'll fight with Helen because, like, she just tries too much, like, too new age of ideas. It's not practical. This is when I knew, like, I have to find someone else, is when she asked me what my astrological sign was in the middle of a set. Like, my therapist was like, what's your star sign? I was like, Helen, come on. We can't both be mentally ill, you know? It's gotta be... We're just two crazy people yelling at each other now. We don't need to be in an office. She's like, you're an Aries. And I was like, you're good, Helen. You're good. You can stay. Because I get angry a lot, so I'm trying to figure out, like, what's good, what's the right thing to get angry about. Because I'll, like, you know, there's stuff that's, like, not worth it to get angry about. Like, it's just... This is when I realized I had to stop doing it. It was when Kyrie Irving got in trouble. When Kyrie got in trouble, that was big. Because he was, like, my favorite basketball player. He's one of the best basketball players of this generation. And he got in trouble because he shared an anti-Semitic documentary on his Twitter. It was wild. Like, he, you know, like, in the documentary, like, denied the Holocaust. It was, like, nuts. And, like, they wanted to kick him out of the NBA, and I agreed. I'm like, this is no place for that. But then I caught myself in the middle of it, and I was like, wait a second, why am I even mad at this guy? A year before this, he said he thought the earth was flat. Like, if a guy tells you that he thinks the earth is flat, don't ask him about the Jews. Like, what are you doing? What did you think he was gonna say?
He likens it to putting up a do not enter sign and leaving the gate wide open, a perfect metaphor for the uselessness of performative political correctness. It's funny because it's true. His ability to expose the contradictions of cancel culture with humor makes it clear that in his eyes, this movement is as ridiculous as it is harmful. When he shares the moment when his therapist asks him for his astrological sign in the middle of a serious conversation, it's a perfect example of the ridiculousness that can come with this obsession with self-awareness and identity. His reaction, "We can't both be mentally ill when discussing astrology," captures the absurdity of blending therapy with such unrelated, unscientific practices.
There's no woke flat earthers. There's nobody who's like, the earth is flat, but, you know, I love everybody on it. We're all doing our best on this frisbee ride in space, man. That's traveling upwards to simulate gravity. We're all doing our best, and we got to pay attention because it's heating up. The disk is heating up. And the water's gonna rise, it's gonna pour off the sides. We gotta be careful. People don't usually double up on causes like that. They're like, the earth is flat and there's too many Filipinos on it, and it's gonna tip over if we don't find the edge that the Jews are hiding from us and push the, like, who cares? He's a basketball player. It doesn't,
The beauty of Elisa's approach is her ability to highlight these absurdities without directly attacking them, instead letting the contradictions speak for themselves. Her comparison of flat earthers with outlandish conspiracy theories, like blaming certain groups of people for supposedly hiding the edge of the world, shows just how wildly disconnected from reality some beliefs can be. The punchline hits hard. Who cares? He's a basketball player. It's the perfect encapsulation of how some individuals latch onto nonsensical ideas and make them larger than life. Yet in the grand scheme of things, they're insignificant, especially in contexts where logic is far more important. Elisa's ability to blend humor and truth with such skillfully crafted absurdity makes this comedic moment a must-see, and the slow-motion train wreck of ideas she describes is something you can't look away from.